And we're live. And
Woohoo!
it is, what is it? It's Thursday today. And I am really, really thrilled to have Mistral Narita with us here today. Or is it Narida?
Narada.
Narida. Darn it. I had three options and I picked two. So Mistral is here to talk about something that I think all of us wrestle with, and it is the hustle of being a single business owner without having, a massive team and all of the things that everybody knows and experts on our team is how do we deal with that hustle and automation? And the thing I really like about this is she's the creator of To Living Inflow and founder of the Building Inflow Academy, which I have got to ask her about because I love that phraseology. She helps solopreneurs transform businesses from that hustled and overwhelmed feeling into automated and in control of it. So she helps us remove that hustle from the business and really reduce the time it takes so that we can actually to make the living so that we can actually start living the life. So first of all, welcome, Mistral. I'm so glad you're here with us today to talk about this critical topic.
Yeah. Thank you, Pam. I'm so excited to share what I know and hopefully drop a couple aha moments and some
Love
takeaway
it.
actionables for anyone who is watching the video.
That is the goal of these. So thank you so much. And whether you're watching live and on replay, if you're live, feel free to drop your questions in here as we go. And if you're watching on replay, drop them in as well, because we will always tag Mistral to come back and give us an answer, even when this is on the replay route. So, and plus we also share these to our email list, so we'll get replies via email as well. So we're really excited about this.
Perfect.
So let me start with the basics. First of all, where are you geographically in the world?
I'm actually in Salem, Massachusetts, so East Coast of the US.
Got it. So you're in the same sort of general vicinity as me in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Um, and we're having a beautiful sunny day here today. How about you guys?
Yes, I can't wait to get out for my daily walk as an entrepreneur. So important.
Oh, you know what? And I've been not doing that lately, and I really need to do it. It's so easy. It's so nice. Spring is coming. Great reminder. There's my first aha moment of the conversation.
Good.
I love snack and learns. I get coached, which is awesome. All right, so let's jump in. How did you get into automation as a thing? It's a thing a lot of us avoid, don't understand, leave for the last. How did you kind of get into really focusing on automation for solopreneurs?
Well, when I first started in the online business, I was a mom, or I still am a mom, with two
Two,
littles. They're still
two
little,
little.
but they were really little. And
Okay.
working a full-time job, being a full-time mom, when I'm home, and then trying to build a business was really hard. And I don't think
Uh,
any of us realized how hard it is to build an online space until we actually start. And suddenly we're like, oh my goodness, I have to post, I have to connect with people, I have to message people, I have to not let my messages get lost when I'm messaging them. I need to come up with my content. I need to find groups where my ideal client is. And it suddenly becomes very overwhelming and
yeah.
sometimes can block us with what we actually need to do. And, when I was first building, I had no idea what I was doing, like most of us, but I saw the potential of what it meant to work in the online space. And I think so many of us start here because we want to create time freedom, we want to create
Hmm.
financial freedom, and we want to share what we're passionate about and help others by doing it. The
Yep.
unfortunate thing is you go from working your 9 to 5 to working in the entrepreneurial world, and suddenly you're working 24/7 because there's none of these office hours, and you feel that in order to really build your business, you have to be on all the time.
Hmm.
And so I really was seeking out ways that I could automate different parts of my business so that I was able to send links, connect with people in different ways that were automated without me having to do all the work behind it. And so it was a big learning curve in a lot of ways because the tech side can seem very overwhelming, but there's a lot of
Yep.
ways you can just start very slowly to automate just little pieces, and then as you grow, get into some of the bigger, more tech-heavy automations per se. Um,
Hmm.
but that's how I started, and I really searched to create that time freedom because I didn't have that, but I felt so
So
weird.
necessity, really. It grew out of
Totally.
necessity.
It
Got it.
grew out of necessity, and then I see so many other women struggling in this situation as well.
God. It's so, so true. So let me kind of start because as you were going through the list, like I felt myself going, "Oh my God, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right," and I just kept sinking further and further down. And I think that's a feeling a lot of us get when we stare at that. We'll listen to a podcast and we know we have to do this. We'll read a blog and we know we have to do that. We know they somehow sort of go together, but we're not quite sure. And I don't know if everybody's like this, but I had this page full of things to do. It felt like it was like paint on the wall, like just throwing paint on the wall or spaghetti on the wall. And I like knew I had to gather it all up and do something with it, but I lost track of it. Like it would fall off long before I could ever get to it. What is the first thing that, like, in stepping into this and really starting to automate things that you would recommend that a solopreneur who's trying to get into the online space and do all the things that you talked about, what's the first thing you would have them tackle?
Honestly, the first thing I would have them tackle is to really think about how they want to show up online, because oftentimes
Okay.
we are shown this 7-step strategy, 5-step strategy, business blueprint. And honestly, if it doesn't feel aligned or doesn't feel like this is what you want to be doing, then it's not going to work regardless. So, really, the first step is sort
You
of
know
figuring
you
out,
know what? I wanna pause there and unpack that
yeah,
because here's what happens too. And I think especially when we're brand new in this space, we read the thing and we think, "Oh, this is somebody who knows how to do it. I have to do it this way." And that
mhm,
continues because we always think, even as we move up the ladder, that we're hearing from the expert kind of above us. And as a result, oh, they must know more than I do. And one of the things that was a big aha moment for me was, wait a minute, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. There is more than one way to do things. So I really want to unpack what you said there. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel aligned, just because you've read it or heard it doesn't mean that's the only way.
exactly. And we get so
Awesome.
boxed into that we just roll with it and we don't even stop to consider, is this how I want to show up? Is this what I want to be doing? And that's really the first
Mhm,
step. And it's what I coach a lot of my clients through, honestly, is just what feels comfortable for them and how do they
mhm.
want to show up? What platforms do you want to use? You know, um, how to structure your story, your brand, your content, all of those pieces kind of come into that. And
Mhm,
then from there, once you feel aligned and what's your consistency going to look like? How do you want to collect email addresses? How do you want to connect with your clients? Where do you want to find them? Because if you're showing up on Facebook but you really don't like Facebook and you much prefer the creative outlet of Instagram, why show
mhm.
up on Facebook, right? And
Love it.
so it's so important to find that first and then just build and take that sort of next aligned action each time. And when you don't know what that next aligned action is, you can still refer back to that 7-step strategy to see, well, what maybe is the next step that seems right? Okay, I align with this or I don't, and move forward from there. And I understand for some people that might seem very vague because they're like, no, 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 I need that 7-step strategy. But it's coming back to, follow the 7-step strategy, but do it in your way. Find what feels
Mhm.
aligned, what feels like the right next step, and flow in that direction. Because when you do that, you do become magnetic because you're creating your business blueprint in the process.
It does totally fall into play or fall in alignment with how a lot of us, I think, in this group think about the law of attraction and really truly determining what needs to come to you, the magnetism. I like the way you said that. And the thing that jumped out at me from that is as we're setting up these businesses, you basically said ready, aim, shoot. I hate to use a gun analogy, but instead of ready,
Sure.
shoot, aim. And
Right.
all of us, I mean, I would bet a paycheck that not one person in this group, not one person watching this video hasn't done the ready, shoot, aim at least once or twice in their business. How do you how do we stop this madness? How do we get ourselves so that we really step out of the box and go, wait a minute, let's define what I want first. Do you have any suggestions for that? For like the just grabbing ourselves and yanking us out of the mire?
Yep. I do. And I think a lot, and it's because I've
Awesome.
done it before myself, right? I've done it before. I've been there. I've done that. I've made all the mistakes. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I want to support people to not make those mistakes.
Love it.
And then compress the timeline of actually having the success that they want. So I think when we are taking those steps or looking at what strategies we want to follow, it really is tuning in as to whether we're taking action from a place of fear or lack. Like, I have to do this because XYZ. I have to do this because without doing this, XYZ won't happen. And instead, coming from that place of love and connection with you and who you are. And that's something that is challenging for a lot of us, because a lot of us have been told, I know when I was told growing up, you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a job, you work your 9 to 5, you buy a house, you have kids, you retire. And a lot of us are breaking that mold. And so we actually want to kind of go back to, okay, what do I want to create? How do I want to create it? And what is
How?
my next aligned action? And the how can be confusing, because again, you look at all what everyone else is doing and you see their success, and it can be really hurtful on the inside to think, well, how are they having so much success and I'm not? But
It's
we
more
also have
like,
to
how do I
remember,
wanna feel while I'm doing it?
correct.
It's being attuned to how
Exactly.
you wanna feel and what makes you feel that way, I think.
Correct. Correct. And we just
Yeah,
have to learn to
okay,
tune back
got
into
it.
that.
Yeah, and to remember it every day. It's one of those exercises. I do it with meditation every day. I Ever since I took Emily Fletcher's Ziva meditation course, I meditate twice a day because it will always, even when I forget to snap myself back into place, that routine will snap something back into place for me. So, I find that really helpful as well. So, once we do that kind of evaluation, hey, say I decided that my play wants to be email list, or my play wants to be social media, or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. How do we go about picking what the right automation tool is for us? Because there's so many out there. I know poor my teammate Maria right now is going through all of the subscriptions I have, and it's ridiculous how many things I have that do the same thing,
Yep.
overlap like 90%. So I've told her, be hardcore, don't let me whine,
Yep.
say pick one. How do we pick from all this stuff?
It goes back to research, obviously, which takes time. So it's oftentimes connecting with fellow entrepreneurs or asking in different groups that you're members of as to what people already use and the pros and the cons of what they're using, because it really
Mhm.
depends on what you're trying to build as well, I think.
Yeah.
Um, Someone who's building an online course is going to use a very different platform to someone who is maybe just selling a product, like a physical product, versus someone who's maybe just focusing on one-on-one or group coaching. And so it depends in that way. So looking towards guides or mentors who are already doing what you want to do, essentially, and finding
Okay.
out what they're using and how they're using it. But there's some really simple steps to take before you even kind of go into some of the bigger packages of automation. And that can just be simply automating and scheduling out your social media posts. And there's a ton of different platforms you can use for that. I use one that does Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest because I have an interest in being on Pinterest. Other people prefer to have
You
their
you pick
information
the
on.
platform. Okay.
Exactly. So pick it around, yeah, what platform you're using, essentially, and read reviews, things like that. Find out what other entrepreneurs are using.
Mhm.
I think that's probably the best place to start. Facebook, actually, their Meta business back end is really amazing. You can post straight from to Facebook business page straight over to your Instagram, and so that's a great way to schedule it out, and it's free, which is a
Yeah,
bonus.
okay. It comes with Meta now if as part of that whole thing.
Exactly, and they
That's
have a ton of
great.
trainings, yeah, on it. So that's a
Yeah,
really nice, easy one to start with.
very
From
cool.
there, there's different automations. Obviously, you mentioned email lists before, and I definitely highly recommend anyone who's building a business should start attempting to build an email list for a number of reasons. And Pam, I'm sure you can speak to some of these, but if Facebook shut down or Instagram shut down tomorrow, all of your leads are gone, which is like a really scary, like, as an entrepreneur. So building your email list daily is huge because that is yours. You own it. You've had an energy exchange with these people. They're interested in your content and they are
Mhm.
potentially in a position of being ready to purchase something from you. So building your email list would be my suggestion of the second step to automate, and working out some way to build that, whether you're giving away a free call or you're giving away a free lead magnet, something of value that people will want to snap up and read or listen to or watch in a video that helps them have their own transformations, would be a way to
Mhm.
do that. And then from there, there's tools to automate lead generation organically, which is obviously super helpful as well.
I love
um,
the fact that you said, "Be ready to deal with your leads before you generate your leads." So what you really said is, make sure that you know what you're gonna do with them. You're gonna build an email list. That's the idea, and just to kinda touch on this financially, the value of your business is based on the assets in your business. An email list that you own is an asset that has value.
mhm,
So whether you're early on in your business and you're using that list to extract value, to get leads warmed up, to get clients, to get whatever it is, if at any point in time down the road you decide to sell your business, if you all your contacts are on Facebook, Instagram, etc., and you don't have an email list, your business automatically, the value of that online business is cut in half,
yep.
at least.
Wow.
So that's a really important thing from a financial standpoint as well. But we always talk about beware of single source providers. Like, don't build your business on any one thing. And that's the other thing I think the email list does. So I love that you kind of drop that in there. Know what to do with these leads before you generate them.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other part, just to sort of speak on what you were saying too, I think building the email list, but also for a new entrepreneur entering into the entrepreneurial world, it is really overwhelming to try to master Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. It's really important to pick where you feel most comfortable and master that or learn that before trying to, otherwise you're just going to feel stretched so thin. And then when
Hmm.
you're stretched thin, you have burnout, and then your energy is down. So, and people can feel that through your posts and through your emails.
Hmm.
They join you not because of what you have, but because of your energy and how you show up. And so
Hmm.
having, the energy to do that is so much more important than posting on 5 different social media platforms.
It is true. You also don't necessarily post in a way that gets them attention. So, one of the things I found
Exactly.
when I first got TikTok, I thought, oh, this is fun. I'm going to post on TikTok. Well, after a little bit of digging, there are ways to post on TikTok that will work. And there are ways that post on TikTok that never will.
Yeah.
And only probably 5 to 10% of the population out there does the work to find out exactly what you need to do in each platform to leverage it. So if you're spread over 5 and you're just beginning, you're going to be spread over 5 badly,
Yeah.
period,
Exactly.
because you don't have the time to dive in and really pick the one and figure it out that's going to get you a lot of attention. So that's really cool. So when you work with clients, how does it work? Do you work one on one? Do you have a group? Like, how do you kind of get somebody rolling inside your program?
Yeah, right now I actually do one-on-one coaching. With eventually, I would love to do group coaching. That's my goal. I love the idea of working at a big group of women, but right now I do one-on-one specifically because I really enjoy taking these women from just starting, feeling completely overwhelmed and already hustled out, and then putting those strategies in place that we've kind of already spoken about. And a
I
lot of
love
it
it.
comes down to because you can't automate until you have your branding and your messaging and your niche really nailed down as well. Because if you just kind of jump into business and start automating everything, again, it doesn't matter, right? You have to have those sort of foundational pieces of your business in order
Yep.
to really share a strong message and magnetize people to you. So oftentimes I start, with a really quick overview over their branding, their message, and who their niche is, and really trying to target that down specifically. And then once we have that locked in, which could take a couple weeks depending on if they've just started or they're kind of rebranding, or it could just take a 2-hour workshop at the beginning to kind of
Got
nail
it.
that down.
Got it.
And then from there we start looking into different tools to automate. So whether and it depends where they are in their business. Some people have already got pieces of automation working, but they need help with a lead magnet and the funnel part of that and what platform
Got
to
it.
use. Some of them want to look how they can turn their, I don't know about you, but Facebook Messenger can be a hot mess if you don't have a way to organize it. And so having
Amen.
and you lose messages. And so, I have a set of systems that I use and a software that I use that actually turns my Facebook Messenger into basically a CRM, right? So I can tag, I can color code, I can do all kinds of things with my leads, which is super helpful for
Nice. Oh,
for
yeah.
automating. Yeah, and that's not really like an automation, but in some ways it is, because you're tagging and you're able to bring up all your potential clients or your hot leads or your warm leads, and then you can actually send out a personalized message to all of them at the same time, which is really nice.
Oh,
And
wow.
so you can be messaging people about, an offer that you have coming up, a free training, a workshop, all of those kinds of pieces, which is really
And
amazing.
Facebook doesn't balk at that. They don't shut down your messenger when you send a bunch of messages out at once.
No, because the software has limitations on it, and so it'll batch it for you,
Nice.
which is really nice. And so there are a
Very
lot of
nice.
different tools out there to do that, which is wonderful.
Well,
Automation
there's my
is
aha for today. That's a huge one, and, I didn't even
huge.
know that existed. So that's fantastic. We'll be hunting that down for sure.
Yes.
Um, so, here one of the things that you let me know is that you basically have, not going to be, you have a free resource portal.
Yes.
And the link for it is right here. And I'm also going to copy that link right now into the comments because, oops, let me just grab the copy of it and drop it into the comments. And then I'm going to put it back up here as well. Um, Tell me kind of what's in this portal, what people can expect to see there. But then most importantly, how do they find you when it's time to say, okay, I see this, this is amazing, and I want help?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my free resource portal is actually, see, this is me doing my own thing, going different. I chose not to have a Facebook group, and instead, my community is in my free resource portal, and we can
Love it.
communicate through that. And I continually add pieces of content. For example, this video will go in there, of ways
Yep.
for training, guidance, support. And so I've got a visualization in there to help you manifest, your future dreams, desires, and goals, which new moon in Pisces yesterday. It's the time to manifest our
Pisces.
wildest dreams. I'm a Pisces too.
Pisces. I love it. Happy birthday coming up then.
I know, you too.
Thank you.
I have this amazing ebook that talks all about bringing in your feminine energy. So for me, I'm always
Cool.
in my masculine, which is the go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. The feminine is the sit back, receive, get creative, receive your ideas. So it kind of can help you balance that out as an entrepreneur if you're like me and always in your masculine.
Love
um,
this.
yeah, and then a couple other things, which is just trainings like this to give information, provide value, give people those aha moments. And so it's a great place to go and just kind of have access to a lot of different pieces of information.
Well, you can be guaranteed that I'll be clicking on the comment here shortly to get joined up in there. And I love it that, there's another aha moment. All of our groups, all of our interactions don't have to be in Facebook. If
Yep.
you don't like Facebook, if you're overwhelmed by Facebook right now, if you're starting to feel lost in the noise in Facebook, which I think all of us go through, there are other options, and that's the kind of thing you can chat with Mistral about as well. So that is awesome. So one of the things we were chatting about at the beginning, and I really appreciate you bringing this up, is what about finance and accounting? What about automations around that? Because just like all the marketing stuff, finance accounting overwhelms us too.
Oh my
Even
goodness. It's the
do
last
I do
place I want to look in my
PayPal?
business.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, kind of the non-automated way to do this is somebody's going to mail you a check in snail mail, which may or may not show up. You're going to get that check. You're going to stamp it on the back and run it to the bank and stick it in a deposit envelope and hand it to the teller. Well, all that's been replaced, and we know it by wonderful automations. But there's so many. Do I do PayPal? Do I do Square? Do I do Stripe? What do they do? What do I have to do with them? Do they keep my money? Do they give me my money? How do I integrate it with QuickBooks? And there's all sorts of automations around our finances that some of which we're already using, and people don't even realize they're using it. Like when you accept a payment by PayPal, that's an automation. That's saving you that whole go to the bank routine. Um, and so, one of the things that I love about it and hate about it, I guess it's the same thing with marketing stuff, is we forget what the manual process is that we're replacing. So we don't necessarily take the time to really understand what it's doing. And we
Right.
don't have time to. That's why we automate it. So how do we, in your mind, how can we stay connected to the process that's happening underneath the automation, I guess is my question.
Do you mean on the finances side, or do you mean on
On
the
anything, I think, really, like an email list. What is that taking the place of? I think sometimes, that's taking the place of talking to 100 people, 1,000 people individually,
right.
and knowing how to reach them and where to find them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think we get drowned in the actual automation itself and forget what it is we did it for. To your point, I just keep coming back to this. Don't just generate leads. Know why you're generating leads.
Right, right, exactly. And the thing is that in our business, leads are the basis of our business. And
Hmm.
we do have to generate a lot of leads because it is a numbers game when it comes down to it, no matter what, because I could talk to 100 people, but maybe only 10 of them resonate with who I am as a coach. And so it's really, that's why it's so important to hone into your message and your niche so that when you are reaching out to those leads, you're connecting with the people who are a hell yes, right?
Yes,
and
yes,
so
yes, yes.
and so it really is coming back to just your big business vision, who you are, who you want to serve, and what value you are providing and how it's going to transform their life. Because if you can come back to those pieces, that big vision that you have, and really
Hmm.
share authentically, not just about your service and what you can give them, but why you're doing this, why you
Yep,
started it, why your journey essentially as well, that gives
yep.
them that connection. And even though the automation is in there, it makes our life easier. You can still have a lot of authenticity in the automation
I
because
love
of how
that.
you show up.
And that's the key. And I think that's really, as we screen for this group, for this Facebook group, it's around that authenticity. And it's an overused word, but it's still real and it's out there and we can find people. And I love the fact that that's where you center this. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to be sure to drop with us before we close this off that we ought to know? Like if I could do something tomorrow to make things better, what would it be?
Yeah. So tomorrow, if you want to start just small automation tomorrow, if you haven't done your social media automation, start there because that's
Love
your
it.
first key thing. And if you've done that, I would start looking, and you haven't started creating your email list. That would be my second one: is look at how you can get people into your email list so you have something that you own. And if you've done
Love it.
that, but you haven't automated your lead generation, that would be the next step, because that is, I would say, the most time consuming part of our
Mm,
businesses is generating the leads and making those
love it.
authentic connections. Hmm.
So 1, 2, 3, social media, get your email list set up, start sending people to your email list. I love that.
Exactly. Hmm.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to cut this off because I need to go join your group. So I'm going to go click on this very link that y'all are looking at right here and that's dropped in the comments. So I'm going to hang up on the rest of you so I can go do that. But I wish you all a great Thursday, a nice roll into the weekend, and feels like we're in the beginning of spring. Pisces, new moon, springtime, more light during the days. I tell you what, this is my time of year. So I wish all
Me
of you
too.
a great Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us, Mistral.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. It was wonderful.
All right, you guys, take care.
Bye.